I had had enough.
Well, you drove out there into the middle of nowhere and had some sort of loud verbal display challenging ET in general out in the middle of nowhere?
That's what I was doing. I actually had a pistol in my hand at the time. I was really ticked off. When I was having this fit, I was waving the gun in the air, okay, and I had this fit. And at this moment, I said, okay.
He was a Louisiana man named Montaldo. Folks around called him Six Gun Joe. Worked with ICAR, don't you know? Investigating UFOs. Out for a drive with a gal one night, they stopped to check out the reporting site. When an alien lit right there on the ground, he commenced to throwing his weight around. Now, old Six Gun didn't take too kindly to that kind of thing, especially without Vaseline or anything like that, you know. Seriously. Well, Six Gun looked that critter right in the eye and said, "Any last wish before you die?" Yo, reached for his gun, quick as a twitch, and said, "Fill your claw, you son of a bitch." Now, a legend spread across the land about this pistol-waving man. But if you're from space or from Earth below, you don't give no lip to Six Gun Joe.
What's out there? What creates the shadows in the corners or the creatures of the dark? Who are those on the other side? What do they have to say? This is the Gateway Podcast. This is not your normal style of paranormal talk radio. Brought to you live from United Public Radio Network, 107.7 FM New Orleans.
The Church of Mavis Radio Show, Friday nights at 8 p.m., 7 Central, starring Jeffrey Pritchett with his co-hosts Wham and Jay McNicholas, right here on the United Paranormal Radio Network, UPRN 107.7 FM, New Orleans.
Welcome to Negotiating Happiness, the show that helps you find happiness, success, and balance in your work and life. I'm Adriana Fiestra, your host for this journey into entrepreneurship and personal growth. We're broadcasting live on 107.7 and 105.3 FM in New Orleans as part of the United Public Radio Network. We explore the latest strategies, insights, and stories from successful entrepreneurs and experts. From managing stress to building a thriving business, we've got you covered.
Hi, I'm Brittany Ashley, your host of Breaking Norms, Building Dreams, your guide through this transformative journey in both business and life. This is your place crafted for dreamers, doers, or anyone who has been told they can't. Get ready as we challenge those narratives together. You're tuning in live to the United Public Radio Network, airing on 105.3 and 107.7 FM in New Orleans. We are streaming on all the popular platforms every Monday at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Join me for a candid and thought-provoking conversation celebrating your unique journey because you are worth it.
Hi, and thank you all for joining us today. We are broadcasting live on the United Public Radio Network and the UFO Paranormal Radio Network, 105.3 on the Gulf Coast and 107.7 FM in New Orleans.
Welcome to Paranormal Heart Podcast with host Kat Ward.
Welcome to Paratruth.
Welcome to Paranormal Heart Podcast.
I don't understand why we're not seen. Is there an overlay going on?
There must be an overlay going on, so
There must
let's
be an
go
over. Someone
find it.
popped in an overlay. Someone's in the studio that because the intro song was changed. So someone's in there making their own show.
Oh man, they're going to be messing themselves up, especially if they're going to get us. They're going to,
yeah, they got us too.
We're going to wish they don't get us on their little thing.
Where's
so let's
the
go
overlay?
run
There, yeah.
Overlay. You find it up there. They should be right there. I don't see them. Oh, there you go. Oh, that's. Oh no, there's a clear. Where's it at?
Oh, there it is. Ha ha ha.
Ah, there we go. Oh yeah, somebody's definitely screwing around with the things.
Yeah.
Okay, rookies out there in the world. Don't fuck with the owner's studio. Jesus, man. You're trying to get your asses fired? Damn. Oh, man.
Lord, I hope they're not watching. They're scared as hell now.
No, it's probably one of the rookies. No, I wouldn't fire out for that. Everybody F's up. It's part of doing radio, live TV and shit. Welcome to UFO Undercover, everyone. I don't know what Jay was playing there. I was just minding my own business.
Well, okay. So the topic tonight is, landmark UFO cases. The song is Obsidian, which has nothing to do with UFOs, but it comes from the album Igiza, produced by the artist Banco de Gaia. So we're talking about landmark UFO cases. There's a lot of UFO information about the pyramids of Giza. So I thought it would be a good transition into, we got renders from Forest we can talk about. We got
so there's a list. You know what? I'll put it in the comments for anybody that pops in. But there's one. The list is the one I was. How does this damn thing get behind us now?
I don't know.
Okay, wait. Just leave it alone. Let whoever's messing with your station mess with it, and then we'll come back and correct it while they're live. Yeah. I'm trying to think who's, this is one of the paranormal shows. You can tell by the little witchy thingy back there.
Right.
Okay.
Well, I mean, initially, we earlier in the week, you said that you may not be in early enough. You might be here a half hour later. So I would, I put my painting back there, and I was going to, until you got in, I was going to tell the audience who may not know about my UFO research history. I was going to talk about that for a little bit, and then say, I do these paintings as well, but. Since we got everybody in the building, and some invites are out for Sean and Leah and Mike.
Yes,
But
let me see. What did I do with it? I got it open somewhere. So somewhere on one of these million damn windows I got open. Here it is.
yes,
So this is the link I want to give you. Now this is the one I was talking to you about yesterday that I couldn't find.
yeah, the
I know I got this damn link. So this has got like 15 or 20 of the
Yeah.
cases. It gives us something to go through. Plus, you click on it, it brings you to the information. So here,
Yes, Maury Island I'm not too familiar with. Tehran I know, but all the others I'm pretty good with. So, but there's so many out there. I don't know them all.
Well, there's a lot of them out there. That's the thing. There's a lot of cases. Oh, where did I lose StreamYard at? Hello, StreamYard. Where'd you go? I know you're here because I can hear her. That's not you. That's not you. Wait. Holy crap! StreamYard is now invisible on my thing. Let's go over here. Is it?
Kurt, yeah.
It's in Microsoft again tonight. That's what the problem is. I keep forgetting when I'm running it in Microsoft, and I got 3 StreamYard windows open. How the hell I got that going on? Oh, let's just close one of them right there. Oh, okay, that's much better. Sorry about those little weird faux pas there, ladies and gentlemen. Hey, Kurt, how you doing, babe? It's so it's a little strange, a little weirdness going on in the world, but there are a lot on these lists. So when you start going through this list, I mean, first when you see is Rendlesham, Kenneth Arnold, that's a pretty good one. Washington D.C. There's a couple in D.C.
Kenneth Arnold is the epic one. I mean, it's really the key. I mean, that's where we get flying saucer from.
Well, that's where we get flying saucer. Yeah, that's where we get the term from. And then of course you got the DC ones. Well, there's some in 50 and 52.
Well, the DC one was a double take, so they don't talk about it as much as the second one but it was around the same time in 1952, and then around the same time the following year in 53, the same amount of UFOs flew over in almost the exact same.
Well, yeah. So they celebrated that in 2000 and 2002. Both times there was a celebration in DC because there was actually sightings in those 2 years in that month. So it was kind of weird. 50 years almost to the day, and here we got sightings flying around in DC, and of course, this is modern DC when we have missiles all over the place and jets all over the place, and they did scramble squadrons of F-16s.
Well, what about that epic video out of Israel? And it shows the Dome of the Rock, the gold dome of the temple there. And then something right above it, a light is there. All right, sorry about that. The light is there, a UFO, and then it just goes, whoosh, and hundreds of people covered it with their video cameras. So, I mean, just as bold as the 52, 53 UFO flap in DC.
Well, that's what I'm saying. There was but I mean, these 20 or so cases we're talking about, these are all cases. But now, ladies and gentlemen, these are really UFO cases. These aren't really alien abduction cases, even though there might be some funky monkey stuff going on in there. They wouldn't be what we call bread and butter of alien abduction stuff. They're more, I noticed Ketzberg isn't in there. See, all that bitching I did paid off. Man, I got tired of hearing about Ketzberg. I'm like, Ketzberg is not an alien, people. It's not alien. It's not alien.
It is still a technology that may be derived from alien technology. We don't know. It could be the Die Glocke from the German experiments with time, or there was an acorn-shaped satellite that Russia lost, and it could be that. Either one.
Yes, you know what? I'm pretty sure we just recovered one of Russia's satellite satellites crashed. Ooh, yes. I don't want to talk about that. Well, the whole network went down. You know what they were designed for? Elon Musk's Starlink. So wait a minute now. Elon's putting Starlinks all over. Already threatened Russia he would run his ships into it. His missiles to knock them down. But so Russia built something to go after his Starlinks. There must be something other than just a hunk of communication satellite up there. There's something else going on. I mean, why would Russia even worry about it? Throw some missiles.
I mean, how many satellites does Musk have up there? He's got thousands.
He's got a lot. I'd have to
tens of thousands of them. I mean, he's like 30 or 40,000, and they're not all Starlink. Some of them are for the government. So.
Well, I mean, some of them, and then he's launched a lot of satellites for other people, other countries.
That's what I'm saying. He has launched and or built over 40,000 satellites that are now above the planet.
I know. I can't remember if it was 34,000 or 64,000 was his goal to get up there. But I remember here it was a lofty goal. Currently, he's got
Like going to Mars by
7,135.
2030 isn't?
Yes, well, hey, he moved it back some.
It's
So.
pretty lofty.
So right now there's 7,135 Starlink satellites flying around up there. Far more satellites than Russia has missiles, by the way.
Far more satellites than any other internet service has.
He's
Comcast doesn't have it. Xfinity, they're like the giant, TV provider.
But think about it. He's got all those satellites up there. He could go on a rampage just wiping satellites out all over the place. And I mean, his goal is much higher. And
he could take those satellites and Drax out and drop them on the planet and do catastrophic damage.
Yeah, but it'd be easier just to take everything out in space and let us kill each other.
Well, he could do both. He could destroy all the satellites.
We might want to keep that satellite network for when Little Drox comes back to Earth.
Yeah, maybe so.
Mini Drox. Mini Drox. That's what we're going to call it. Mini
or
Drox.
Baby Drax's grandkids, something like that.
Yeah, Mini Jax. There we go. Mini X. Yeah, Mini X. There we go. 3 X's. 3 minis. I know, Bruce. There was an ungodly amount. They said actually by July of last year he was supposed to have 10,036 in orbit. So, but no, the number I'm reading is current from March 28th of 2025. He is just putting satellites up. All the time. Every time he launches something, they got satellites on board.
Yeah, he's launching tons of shit.
Yeah, and then what was it designed? Nearly 12,000 communication satellites in total he's put in space. What the fuck is this guy doing? I didn't say the real curse word, people, so don't give me no trouble. But he's doing something. Well, I guess we're gonna all find out in the future. What is this? 42,000 Starlink currently leads the development. Yeah, so he wants to have 42,000 satellites, and then with something higher up, another 42,000. So he's designed them so that they're thin side towards Earth, so they don't interfere with the sunlight or the starlight. But everybody said he could just turn them sideways, and they would make a great mirror, a great sunscreen for the planet. So I don't know. But then another guy last night I was listening to was talking about, well, I'm looking up and I'm seeing all these things moving in the sky. I know most of that crap belongs to Elon Musk. Well, it's probably true. Well, people, there's a lot of stuff in space. I'd have to ask, but it was an ungodly amount. Last time we asked, it was a lot. No, it's on one of these shows, but
if you count just the debris, broken nuts and bolts, pieces of glass, things that have fallen off all the spacecraft that we've launched from the 50s forward, it's in the millions, hundreds of millions of pieces of debris floating around our planet in very close proximity. And things that, like I said, small as a nut or a screw and as big as like a softball or a basketball.
It's a lot, guys. Where was it? What is it? I use JTrack. You can go use JTrack to track all that stuff. It tracks everything. It does. You can see where it's at. You can even see when stuff's going to be burning up if you like, so you can watch in the skies. Current estimation is 500,000 between the satellites and the debris. 500, and this is 10 centimeters or larger. Wow.
10 centimeters is what? It's about
an inch.
Yeah.
Inch and a half.
No, it would be divided by 2.5, so it's like 5 inches. Yeah, so like 5 inches.
It's I don't think a centimeter was that big. I'd have to go look.
Hey Google, how much is 10 centimeters in inches?
10 centimeters is equivalent to 3.937 inches.
4 inches.
Yeah, that's close.
3.97.
Yeah, that's close enough.
Sorry.
It's a little less. Shut up, Chick. We ain't talking to you. It's a little less than an inch. That's what I thought it was. So just a little less than an inch. That's how I remembered metrics from schools, guys. Sorry. We had to learn the metric system. All of a sudden, one year, I think I was in 6th grade, they came and said, the United States is changing everything over to metrics. You have to learn it. I'm like, really? Really? I said, I had to learn all this other shit. Now we're not going to use this. This sounds like some bullshit going on here. But America never did adopt it. So, well, it still comes in handy. But even today, if you have like tape measures and stuff like that, they have inches down to the 8th, or actually to the 16th. So
If you work at the Home Depot, they give you on your first day of orientation, they give you a Home Depot branded small, I think it's 16-foot tape measure. And it's cool, and it's down to the eighths. It's got on one side it's to the 16ths, one side is to all the way to the eighths. Then if you flip it over, you pull it all the way out. It has all these extra charts on it, so it tells you about what 1D nail versus the 2D nail is. It tells you about all the different fractions on the ruler, eighths, fifths. It's fantastic. If you ever get a hold of one, there's much more information on the bottom of the ruler than there is on top, but it gives you all the information you need to help measure stuff. It is that is the most amazing. I have several of them, of course. I've worked there for a while, but I keep several in my house.
Jay was collecting them bitches, man.
Yeah, well,
that old guy's gonna come for you. You better watch it. I wonder if he believes in aliens. That would be interesting to find out. Actually, Jackie, I was supposed to be in the city today, but life changed. Plans change sometimes. Yes, so it just happens. Oh, I'll be there sometime in the next few days, I'm sure. It's well, no. See, when you get into all these cases, now let me go back to the list. Now, the only downside to this whole list is, let's see, 90 is about the newest case. 90, yeah. So there's no really famous UFO cases in the 20s. I mean, in the 2000s. I shouldn't say 20s, but. So from 2000 to about 2025, there's not really all that many UFO cases. And there's none of what we would call epic fame. None that just stand out, except for, oh no, that was the 90s, wasn't it? Never mind.
In the 90s, we had the several UFO flaps in Mexico City, and repeatedly, again, kind of like the DC flaps that spanned 2 years. These spanned several years in a row, but it was hundreds of devices in the air, not just 15 or 16.
Probably us testing out our new drone technology.
And then also Phoenix Lights is 97.
Okay, here we go. We're going to use Wikipedia, people. Wikipedia. Now, we know Wikipedia is iffy skiffy.
Well, no, that's true, but only on those articles that are publicly maintained and edited. So some articles, if you are knowledgeable of what the subject is, you can actually go in. If you're a member of, if you have a login, you go in and you can change and edit and put stuff up for articles. I did it. I added to the Nunchaku article.
Well, I used to edit all kinds of stuff, and
it was wrong as hell.
Yeah, well, one time I used to edit all the time, and then one day they told me my personal account was a glamour account and threw it off. I was like, "Excuse me, it's the account about who I am and what I do." Because I ran International Community for Alien Research, and I hosted, and I did a couple other things. So that's kind of like, really. So we're going to go backwards on this. So the latest case. Now this is kind of cheesy, but we're going to go ahead and talk about it. Lake Huron. Y'all know what this is. This is in 2023. Aerospace temporarily closed over the area while the U.S. shot down something. So the question begs, was it an alien craft? Was it some kind of Chinese thing? Because, I mean, we'd just been shooting down Chinese balloons and shit. Or was it something else? That was when, what was the name of that asteroid that was coming through, that comet, whatever it was?
It was one of the Egyptian. Yeah. Oh no, Umu. Yeah, that one was Umu, which means nothing.
Mumu is all I call it. So it's there were, as the thing approached the sun, it picked up. It did actually a couple of things it wasn't supposed to, but we're not going to get into that. Right as it approached the sun, they seen what looked to be like cylinders ejecting themselves from this thing. Now, it could have just been hunks of rock, and that's what a lot of people said it was. But it was also funny that a couple of days later, we're shooting down things over the planet, not just in America, by the way, that were these gray cylinder-looking things. Now, what bothers me is the ones I've seen in the ground at Lake Huron were empty. So is this something like out of Babylon 5, and there was a disease in there that's going to take its time to kill us?
Or contained, troops or spies.
Well, no, because they tracked it all the way to the ground. So I don't think it. Well, I guess it could have had a cloak we didn't know about, but it's weird, people. It seems like this was just something that was checking out the planet. It sent some probes, and we shot a couple of them
Yeah,
down.
Oumuamua. I mean, there was some rumors that certain things were launched off of it, but even besides that, if that's unconfirmed, it changed speed and then it changed course.
More than once.
More than once. Most inanimate objects flying through space don't change course unless they come too close to a gravity well, and then their course will change because of the gravity well. This thing literally went past our solar system and then turned around. Did a 180. And it's heading back towards our solar system. So
the major course change
do that.
Well, the major course change in the beginning brought it closer to Earth, so it's a little fishy. That's all we can say. You know, even a lot of scientists seem to think this thing may have been extraterrestrial. There's a lot of them out there. There's a big debate even today that's going on.
We know for a fact it is because it came. We know they were able to track it back to, and I think the origin origin solar system. But what they're not sure of is whether it was a cleverly disguised craft.
Well, yeah, they don't think it's from here. So where is it? They're thinking it's from. The last because in the beginning they said it was something that was hiding out in the Oort cloud, and then it didn't have enough ice on it to be hiding out in the Oort cloud, and then they said it was hiding out somewhere else, and then they said it was probably from something to do with the way it was shaped. It was probably several thousand light years from its original place it started. Mm-hmm. So I don't know who to believe on that. You know, it's a lot of there's a lot of guessing going on, is all I can say. I mean, it's a lot of fascinating information, but there seems to be a lot of, we don't think it's from our solar system because it's never been seen before.
But it might be seen again. So
yes, but yeah, it probably will be seen again. Then they're just not sure, and it changed the directory kind of to get closer to Earth, and then it changed to avoid being eaten by the sun. So yeah, I don't know. It just seems like there was some intelligence going on there.
The key course change is once it exited the gravity influence of our solar system, meaning it went beyond the Oort cloud, it turned around. And it's coming back, according to trajectory.
Yeah, once they get another pass and see, you got to get a little closer this time.
So what would turn it around? I mean, look, if something is traveling in space at X speed this way, and it gets near a gravity well, it'll change direction, but it'll still be keeping in that same general direction. It may turn a little bit left or a little bit right. It's not going to go and go back directly on its original path, which is exactly what they're saying this thing did.
Well, we'll have to wait and see. I mean, it didn't take that long to get out. It's only been 2 years since it's been by.
Yeah, it's not long.
So, Denise will get to see where it's going. Yes, we'll probably be alive when it comes back. Oh, yes. Hopefully, it's not coming back to wipe us all out. And maybe to see how its plague get let loose in those canisters they're doing. You know,
maybe it's a binary plague. They have to come by and drop the primer, and then come back again once the primer is set, and then put in the second. Like an AB.
Yeah. I don't know to tell you. Be worried, people. But Drax is here to save us. He will sling satellites at that son of a bitch.
If we get a chance to, maybe the space command can pull it over, and we can look under the hood and see if it says "Made by Elon Musk."
Yeah, that would just be flipping weird. This is a Elon or a Musk Industries thing from the future. Oh yeah, that's all we need to hear. Jesse. So the next one, which is also in so the one we just looked at was 12 February 2023. This one is 10 February 2023. This is, guess what? Another Department of Defense. So the other one was aerospace and defense, basically, when they closed up the area so they could shoot it down. And then this one, of course, is from the Department of Defense as well. It was something about the size of a small cloud. A car was flying northeast approximately 40,000 feet, posing a risk to civilian flight.
Wow.
And it says octangular object with strings hanging from it was detected over North Montana, Wisconsin, and Upper Peninsula of Michigan. I didn't know that. So it was all over the place. But still stayed in one area, but all over the place. Guys.
Well, I mean, the article even says that AIM 9 Sidewinders were used. Minnesota Air National Guard was involved with an F-16. That's some serious stuff. If we're flying our Air Force over our airspace and shooting out of the sky things that appear to be not from here, that's significant news.
It is. It's very significant. Now, guys, girls, as we're going through some of these we may stop and spend more time on. Some of these newer ones, or pretty much what you get is what you get, because there's not any real information. That's what I'm saying. There's no really legacy cases in the 2000s yet.
Yeah, because we're 25 years into it. Some of these legacy cases are 50, 60, 70, 80 years old.
Yeah, so it's so we just haven't seen that yet. Because like the Lake Huron case, none of them are going to turn out to be legacy cases, just not what they are. Now, this is Clayton, New Mexico, flight 2292. So I wonder, 2292, what air? Does it say what airline it is?
I think it's a United, isn't
it? I don't know. I'm just reading the outline, the front part, the footnotes on Wiki. It's just reported seeing pilot reported seeing an object over New Mexico shortly after noon, local time Sunday, February 21st of 2021. FAA air traffic controllers did not see any object in the area or on their radar scopes. Well, that's not unusual. But you see, what is? I mean, that's all fine and dandy, and it should be reported to Peter Davenport's sighting, but it doesn't really give you anything. Here's another one in February 2018, Desert, Arizona is all it says.
1920? Wow.
I'm sorry, 2018. February 19, 2018, sorry. I just looked at 19 and 20 and said 19.
Yeah, I was like, 1920, that's early.
Left 18 out of there altogether. Sorry about that, people. This was filed by commercial pilots. So, unidentified flying object above Arizona. Investigators reported that the pilots most likely saw a high-altitude research balloon. Boring. Okay. January 5th, 2009. Ooh, we're getting closer back to the 90s now. Morristown, New Jersey.
That sounds like an interesting one. What happened on that one?
Aliens don't go to New Jersey. What the hell would an alien want to go to New Jersey for?
Yeah, especially Norristown.
No, I mean, come on. We're not buying this. What is this? Let's see. 2009, 5 unidentified red objects were seen over in Morristown, New Jersey on April 1st of 2009. Whoa, wait a minute. I don't like that. Joe Rody and Chris Russo admitted it was a hoax.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Well, no, they actually reported on January 5th. They just said it was a hoax on April Fool's Day.
Oh, I got you.
Okay, so here we go. 2006, Illinois, Ohio Airport, Chicago O'Hare is what I should say, and sighted in 2006. Now, this was an interesting sighting, but what is it? It was just a saucer-shaped metallic aircraft hovering over gate C-17. Now, I'd have to see the airport and see where C-17 is, what the relevance is, but it was just sitting there.
Yeah, I think there was some looking into what was the significance of that particular area, why it was sitting there, but I don't think anyone was able to come up with anything.
No, because then it moved off and went.
Are pretty good. A lot of pictures, a lot of good pictures.
Yeah, and then because it moved off and went and sat on the side of the airport for a little while, but nobody knows what the hell it was. It didn't seem to interfere with anything or bother anything. Up here's another.
It didn't seem also. I mean, because it was as I remembered, it was a live event because it was as it was happening, it was going off over the news as well, and that was the only reaction. No police were responded to it. No ambulances. No Air Force. No military response at all. And you would think an unauthorized flying object flying directly over. I mean, immediately over the airport itself would be a major safety issue.
And yet they didn't even stop aircraft.
Nothing stopped. Nothing changed. It was like as if it wasn't even there.
I know, very strange. Here's another one in Chicago, August 21st, 2004. So about every 2 years, Chicago has a little mini UFO flap.
O'Hare Airport. They must have the really good space beans or whatever those guys are coming for.
It says a triangular formation of reddish lights were seen at low intermittent altitude by hundreds of witnesses on 3 separate occasions in late 2004 and early 2005, producing multiple videos and photos. Mainstream local news covered it over the suburbs of Chicago, Illinois, and it just says, near. It says busy airspace near O'Hare International Airport. We should have known that was going to be in there somewhere. Jay's right. That's where all the good, not high in cholesterol people are. I'm sorry.
They're coming in for the Chicago deep dish pizza and flying back to, Aldebaran with it or whatever.
Now, here we go. Highland, Illinois, sorry. Black Triangle UFO. St. Clair Triangle UFO, Illinois, Southern Illinois UFOs.
What year?
2000. January 5th. There's another one on January 5th. It's kind of weird. Oh, the other one was a hoax on January 5th. That's right. Never mind. It said occurred on January 5th over the town of Highland, Dupo, Lebanon, Summerfield, Middle East, O'Fallon in Illinois, and some other place I can't even pronounce. Beginning shortly after 4 a.m., 5 on duty Illinois police officers and separate locales, along with various other witnesses, cited the report of massive silent triangle aircraft operating an unusual range near somewhere, hovering in an incredible high-speed treetop. Oh, okay. People, you got to learn how to write. Hover to incredible high speed at treetop. Okay, I must have wrote this. Jesus. I was wondering why it wasn't coming out right. ABC examined the footage and said they thought it was good. And then Peter Jennings, I haven't talked about it. Whoa. Peter Jennings talked about it. I don't know. Okay. All right. Here we go. Now, this is the first actual case of any substance coming up. Now, it's not in 2000, by the way. It's close. It is March 13th of 1997, which is a friend of mine's birthday, by the way, who lives in, guess what, Phoenix, Arizona. She's also used to be a doctor, now a ufologist. Anyway, this would be called what most of you laymen would call the Phoenix Lights. Ooh, the Phoenix Lights. So, question number 1, how many people live in Phoenix?
It's a big city. I've been there.
Where is? I never have what's her face in here when I need her. What, 1 million, 2 million?
Hey, Google, what is the current population of Phoenix, Arizona?
In 2023, the population of Phoenix was 1,650,070.
Not a bad guess, Joe.
So back then would have been about 1, 2, I would say. So out of that, and not including the people living in the suburbs around the city, which we don't even know what that number is.
Well, even in 97, if we knocked off 300,000, I think the population back in the 90s was probably more like 700,000. Because I do remember them saying the population of the city was something of that nature, 800,000. So not quite a million, but round up, round down, whatever. We're at that same.
But if you add in all the suburbs and all the hills of folk and stuff, I would imagine we're still been over 1 million easy. But
well, I mean,
regardless, it doesn't matter.
It's a whole bunch of other cities as well. So I mean, probably more than 1 million people saw it.
But less than 14,000 people reported seeing it.
Yeah,
that's it. And what's bad about it is it was on live on the local news. See, there's cases where this has happened, where during a sighting it made the news. Yeah. So this was on, but yet still only that few of people saw it, and a lot of people said they went out to go see it, and it wasn't there, or they saw something else. So what exactly was going on? It's not the only case. The big one down in Mexico City was the same way. 22 million people living in that city. Less than 1 million people saw it. I mean, still a lot of people saw it, but why did another 21 million see it? I mean, the police chief was on the radio with Hamid Massan and on the local news saying this damn thing's hovering over our city. It sounded like something out of one of them freaking sci-fi movies where the big saucer is about to level the city. It was creepy, man. I mean,
and like you said, I remember the exact. I don't remember the exact day, but I remember the exact incident, and it was on every news channel for a couple of hours.
Yeah, because it was a big deal. I mean, it was a big ship. I mean, Mexico City is a big city. Arizona's a big city. It's not as big as Mexico City, but still, it's a big city.
It's spread out. It's not tall, but it is spread way out.
So, I mean, you've got these cities like this where you should have had way more people see stuff than they did. That also brings me back that I think only people who's been taking can see it. It's probably why. It's probably why those are the ones that knew what was going on. They were probably the ones drawn out to go look at it.
Including
going on.
The city's mayor was one of the few reported sightees.
Yeah, well, we know that, police chiefs, I mean, we know policemen, and yes, thank you, whoever you are. I mean, politicians, lawyers, doctors, it doesn't matter what walk of life you're in. Contactees come in all walks of life.
But
a friend of mine said
police in the desert, it brings up Lonnie Zamora, which is an extremely interesting case.
That's and so wait, there was two of them. So no, there was actually more than two. So there was the one with him, and then there was the one where they had the 9 cars zinging all over the place in the middle of the desert, tracking this thing around. And then there was another one besides that. It'll come to me. But see, thing with go ahead.
The way I remember the Zamora case, because I followed it pretty well. I think it's 1967, and he's at the time a veteran policeman. I'm not a rookie, not a first time guy. I mean, he's 5, 6, 7, 8 years on the job, an experienced police officer, and he sees something like a fireball crash into the desert. So he goes to investigate, and there's a silver egg on a tripod standing on the ground with 2 humanoid figures. And a lot of times they show them around a campfire, but I don't think they actually had a campfire. And he describes them as having silvery clothes. And I may be pulling another UFO case into it, but I know there was pictures of a few alleged aliens in silver, shiny silver, like aluminum silver outfits. And I don't know if Lonnie Zamora took those pictures or it was another case similar to Zamora's where the same type of craft, a silver egg on a tripod, 2 individuals in silver clothing. When Lonnie saw those pictures, he said, "Those are the guys I saw." And he's a policeman, so his word in the court of law would supersede mine, even if I said, "No, those aren't the guys we saw."
Well, he's who else? Let's see. There's been a couple of cases where there's been something like that on a tripod with somebody walking around. Rentlesham was one of those.
Rentlesham is, but a different shaped craft.
It depends who you listen to. That's the other thing about Rentlesham.
Silver egg, kind of like the Mork and Mindy egg. I know.
Yeah, kind of like the Mork and Mindy. So when you listen to, I forgot which one it was. Not Charles Hull. It might have been one. It might have been Pennis. It might have been Burroughs. But one of them was talking about this craft being kind of shaped like an egg. And the other guy said it was more rounded and then kind of teardropped out. But
then one of them says it's a triangle.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. And then Hulk described it as something else.
Yeah.
And then there was some other descriptions besides that of the guy who walked up and touched it. He described it kind of like a saucer with edges. Like straight edges on it.
They may have been messing with the men's minds the way they do to make them see them as humans. But I believe it's Peniston is the one who had the download of the 0-1 data, the binary data.
So y'all noticed
triangle, but he's the only one that touched it. So he actually had physical contact with the device, and when he touched it, he said he blacked out. He doesn't know for how long, but over the next few days, he started just seeing zeros and ones and zeros and ones. So he wrote them down as they came to his, and then they coded it or decoded it, and it actually has a very weird cryptic alien message, if you will.
Well, he's really weird because he didn't even know what a download was. I was doing a lecture in DC, matter of fact, and him and the 2 of them came in and sat down because they were like thick as Steve buddies. And they came and sat down. They were listening to the lecture and started talking about downloads. How contactees get downloads. And this is 20. This is before Katrina, so it's 25, 26 years ago. And we were at the Washington Press Club in D.C. And we just came out of Gettysburg where the conference was, and I was giving a lecture at the press club, and we're talking about how downloads are and how they affect people and how you get them and how they open up in packages. And I had talked to these two guys many times over the years. I never really interviewed them on my show, though. Something about your time traveling thing turned me off on them. But it wasn't a month later. I'm listening to a friend of mine do an interview with him out in New York, and he starts talking about these downloads. And two of the iCar directors are sitting next to me going, "You got to be kidding me, right?" Like, there's just a couple of things he did that really had a bad smell to it. But the problem with the whole Rendlesham thing was that I know Larry really well. Larry Warren is a sat down and got drunk with him on air. I know the guy pretty well. He's a no good bastard, but he's not lying about the Rendlesham case. Now I can't tell you about anything else in his life that's not, I don't really care about any of that. But he's not lying about Rendlesham. So
I don't think Lieutenant Colonel Charles Halt is either.
I don't think Halt is either. So this is the problem, because these are different descriptions.
You're right, yeah.
So I'm talking with Charles Halt one night. And where was I? I was in Laughlin, Nevada. And I was I think it was a 7-day alien abduction conference they used to do. But anyway, I'm sitting there talking to him. And we're talking, and I asked him about Larry. He said, I don't know what Larry's seen and blah, blah, this. And then James and Jim, he goes, Jim and John, and then seemed to be getting a little crazy talking about Jim Penniston and John Burroughs. And so he said, they're getting a little, crazy. He said, because they didn't want to have anything to do with the other three. And everybody forgets that there were other witnesses besides these guys.
Yeah, there were like 40 or so. But there's also other incidents than just what happened in the other that weird thing. The incident we're talking about here is what, 3 or 5 nights long. It's at least a 3-day event, and I think it started the day before Christmas Eve. Then Christmas Eve and Christmas Day of the party was when Charles Halt actually got involved with the base Christmas party event.
It was a very strange case, and then you started getting all these and I think a lot of that's designed that way. But then all of a sudden, Jim and John go crazy. They start talking about their time traveling, and they know this, and they know that, and they know this. And I was in Roswell, New Mexico for the 60th anniversary. And a friend of mine goes, "You're going to let him get away with this?"
Close to Roswell a few weeks ago.
No, right? Yeah. Well, yeah, he was passing by when you was headed out to Arizona, but
yeah, we were going to try to stop there, but we got stuck in traffic and couldn't make it. But damn it, next year.
It's an interesting place to go hang out. I used to know a bunch of people. I probably only know 1 or 2 now, but they were going on and on and on about this, and Jerry Pittman was still alive, and so was Kevin. Kevin, I can't remember your name. Kevin Smith. Both of them great broadcasters, had big followings. They're really good. And I'm sitting there looking at, because I was sharing, the three of us were sharing an auditorium where we were taking turns doing interviews and stuff. And it was Sweeps Weeks. Fox was there. We were having a good time. It was a great event. And the guy from Fox starts laughing about these two. And he said, "Joe, come on, man. Y'all listen to you talk. At least you sound convincing." He said, they sound like whack-a-job. So I'm like, well, he said, but you see, that's the kind of people give y'all a bad name. Yeah. And I forgot which one of the other two it was. One of the other broadcasters goes, "You should just offer to interview him." I said, "They're not going to do an interview with me. They consider me hostile." And I said, and good reason they should, because I am hostile to both of them. And so then some bitch is going to mention me. I'm not even there, not there for the lecture, right? My phone rings. A friend of mine who's listening to the lecture comes at you. They're talking about you. I said, "I'll be down there." So I get out and start walking down there. So 2 of the Fox reporters come with me. They're like, "Oh, this is going to be the throwdown again." And then because of that, a couple of ICAR investigators like, "Well, wait a minute. You can't just go with them." So I come strolling up in here with like 15 people. And it's getting ridiculous. And I'm like, I said, if you're going to say something about me, at least have the balls to say it to my face, my friend.
Yeah.
And he goes, he looks at me. He's like, I said, look, I said, ET's in this room, and you know they're my personal friends. I said, so what is it that you have a problem with? That I think you're batshit crazy? Is that what you have a problem with? And Kevin, I think it was Kevin, was sitting next. He just starts busting out laughing. He said, "Oh shit, you done messed up, boy." And then they get all nervy. Don't call me, boy. I said, man, don't be picking on the old man. I'm right here if you want to pick on somebody. He's like, I was like, look. I said, don't bring my name up in your bullshit. I said, you know, I'm where you got the downloads from. I said, after that interview in D.C., I said, you're the ones you stole that from us. I said, technically ain't stolen because we were telling everybody in the world what downloads are and how they were. We the ones. A lot of the abduction stuff that's out there today came from my car. It's we needed terminology that we could use, still that we can use even today. It's but you know, regardless, use it, but don't go around saying that you just that and other thing. So I just walked up to the stage and said, "Give me the mic." He's like, "What?" I said, "Give me the mic." And I took the mic and I said, "Okay, if you're really time travelers, I want to know some future events that's, you know, things that can't hurt anybody.
Who goes to and wins next year's Super Bowl? I want to know right now so I can bet on it.
Well, that could change things. So, you know, but I said, just give me some events. I said, you wanted those time travelers that's always after the fact. I said, I'm tired of hearing about those guys. You know, I said, that's bullshit. I said, tell me something that's true and real. You know what? I said, tell me how you're going to get me to shut up. And he just looked down at me, and John stands up. He said, I'll get you to shut up. I said, don't. I said, sit down. I said, you will get hurt. I said, he might have a chance of not getting hurt. He'll still get his ass whooped, but you need to sit down. And I said, so look, I said, you're going to call me out? Come on, let's debate. I'm standing right here. Don't be cowards. Don't threaten me. And then John stood up again. He said something. And I said, guys, who's here with me? And like the whole back of the place stood up. I said, now, would you like to sit down now? I mean, it comes a point where to me, that's childish. Just if you're going to talk shit, debate me. That's all I'm saying. I like to debate.
Yeah,
I
you know,
I've won
not
every
necessarily
debate.
on the UFO subject, but I grew up Catholic. I love arguing with people even on the Bible, and you'd be surprised. Even UFO researchers, you'd be surprised how much they don't know. I mean, I've people that want to ask me about it that don't know anything. I say, look, if you honestly go and read, and I'll tell them a couple of books, read these few books, and then get some information and come back. Then we have something we can talk. I don't have a common frame of reference with you. I know so much more about the UFO story since I've been doing it for so long. You know, a lay person I can't talk to. I mean, that's why I love this forum. I have experts that know as much as me, if not more. And it's such a hard subject. Most people don't know anything about their religion. And I get in arguments with people on the Bible, and then I tell them something that's in the Bible, and they go, "Oh, that's not in the Bible." I'm like, "All right, tell you what, conversation's over now because you're getting angry. Go to your Bible. You're a Bible thumper. Go read it and come back and call me a liar." And you know what? They come back to me a few days later. "You're right. It's in there." I'm like, "I know it's in there because I read the damn book."
Yeah, well, you know, that's just people get caught up in it. They just whatever pops into their head kind of stuff. But you know, I like to be research.
In your information, you should be able to stand up to a debate and hold your ground. You're either going to win or you're going to lose.
All right, what did I do on my list I was reading off of? Where's that damn list at? I'm on the big list. Jay's on the short list. Oh, so this next one, 1984. I mean, 1994. Sorry, 94. This is 94. This is Michigan, Lake Michigan UFO event. And there was a lot of events over the lakes, Great Lakes, and you hardly ever hear about any of them.
Well, they go to visit the Edmund Fitzgerald. That's why.
Yes, Edmund Fitzgerald. The poor thing. What do you mean, Jack? No, that's a true story. Over 100 witnesses reported 5 to 6 objects cylinder shape with blue and red and white green lights across the bottoms and sides. Wait, what? Well, I don't know what that was. I hadn't even heard of that case.
Yeah, I hadn't either.
Next case, I'm pretty.
Do we know like different light patterns that alien races might show on their craft?
Well, the best of my knowledge, if they ever show a light pattern, which is rare, it's using one of ours.
Yeah, so they've imitated airplanes before. I know that. I was told, and I don't remember where I got the information, but it is the mechanic, like the sport craft that Lazar brought out or talked about. And I don't know which race makes those, but those craft, no matter what the shape is, always glow like lightsaber blue, like Luke Skywalker lightsaber
Yeah, it's
blue.
probably the energy field around it.
Yeah.
I've heard about different ships having different kind of orbs around them or different types of auras
Different auras,
around
different
them.
colors. Yeah.
Yeah, but for the most part, they're just there's not any like flashy lights or things like that unless for some reason they have to run open and not cloaked, and then they have lights that flash. But again, that's for our well-being. Now, this next case, I love this little short description they give of this case. Jesus. This happened on November 11th of 1987 in Florida. By the time we get to Florida,
Oh, that wouldn't be the? Oh, who is that guy's name?
we're going to just list it as the Gulf Breeze UFO incident.
Yeah.
So and that's all they have on this. The Gulf Breeze UFO incident. That's all the information.
And it's not just 87. How long did it went for? Like a decade.
Oh, it's still
or
going
so.
on. That's still going on down there even
It's
today.
still going on.
Yes, it's not as prevalent as it used to be, but it's still going on today. When you get down there, the whole area, starting from I don't know, Florida, Bama, maybe Gulf Shores, all the way down to Mexico Beach, or even further than that, is just a hot spot. And there's a lot of big military facilities down there. So, there's Eglin, which is 884 square miles. It's got more runways than you can count, and it's got runways in places that there's no place to get to but to land. There is nothing. There's no roads. There's nothing. So obviously, the road, there must be an elevator there or something that allows those craft to go up and down. So you get those kind of things. And then, hey Mike, how you doing? And then there's and then it's so all over, but I mean all over Gulf Breeze they were being seen. And what they're talking about is in the 1800s, in the early 1800s in Pensacola, they said they used to be seen chasing the schooner ships around. It's like they would run up on them and scare the crap out of these guys and make their ships and their sails glow. They were trying to go as fast as they can.
Columbus and his 3 ships report seeing several green objects, balls of light flying around their ships and into the water.
Imagine the information that people didn't come forward with because they were afraid of being called a witch or mocked or whatever the hell it was.
Oh, that.
And then, of course, airline pilots that were discouraged from reporting UFOs, even though most of them haven't seen them. It was a very common thing. But, it's just interesting that there's a bigger, vast history of cover-up, or either people not coming forward or people not wanting to give the information, government's covering it up. I don't even think they know what they're covering up. You know what I mean?
Well, they don't, and half the time they're just covering up because they're being told to cover up. And here it even says Bruce McAfee says the photos were genuine. I know I had talked to him on a couple of occasions about it.
Yeah.
We also had them looked at by someone else. They also said they were genuine because you had the guy I got into. I was down there after we lost those 11 days, and we were down there doing something else, and I ran into some MUFON people, and I was out of MUFON by then, and they were over at his house, which I had only found a couple of years earlier by accident. I was looking for it. And so they said this kid had came to them with a model that he found in the attic of the house of the UFO that Ed Walter said he saw. Now, I saw the model. It didn't look all that much like the
I remember
UFO.
This. Yeah. And I know what the model is.
Yeah. So we're somewhere. We're having dinner at the Crab Shack. Beautiful place on the Gulf Coast. So this is later in the day. So these guys are in there, and with this, I call him a kid. He was probably 17, 18 at the time. And these 2 reporter guys, they're just lapping it up. And I'm like, I said, do you believe this kid? He's like, yeah. I said, can I talk to him for a few minutes? And he's like, well, I said, hey, hi, I'm Joe. This is what I do, And I said, I was down here doing an investigation like you. And I said, I want you to tell me a little bit more about, how you found this in the attic. What were you doing in the house in the first place?
Yeah.
And he's like, And that's what the next few minutes was. I said, so did you have permission to be in this house? I said, there's more.
No.
And these other two guys are looking at me. I said, look, dude. I said, I'm going to be polite about this. I said, I could have your ass arrested. First off, for breaking and entering his house. Secondly, for hiding or bringing something into someone's home to use to defraud. I said, do you know how long you can go for jail for this? Oh, I'm not. I said, I'm going to tell you this as a friend. I said, you're looking at 10 to 15 years this guy could get you put in jail for. I said, you're trying to defraud the man. I said, he's a general contractor. He's got a big livelihood, and you're out trying to hurt him. I said, so look, you do what you want to do, and you give these guys whatever you think you need to give them. But in the end, they're not the ones who'll be in the cell in Florida. You will be. And all of a sudden, he changed his whole tune. Everything started coming out. These two guys were so pissed off at me. And I'm like, but look, I wasn't going to just sit there. And it was too easy. I had heard him talk. His voice was shaky when he was talking. It wasn't from an experience. It was just he found this so-called model. And the best part about the model is it would have had to have been in the attic for almost 7 years with nobody finding it but him. Yeah.
How do you know to look in that far deep corner of the attic?
Well, I mean, people had moved in, and and it's worse than that because the people who lived there had been interviewed, and they said they had never ever seen it in the attic. Ever.
As an antique dealer, believe it or not, we find all kinds of stuff in attics. People will take a loose board and hide it. They think that's the best hiding spot. Check this out. There was this one house, right? This guy who lived there had a heart attack while he was cutting the lawn. Boom, dead. And then we went in. We went in to do, the estate. They were having a sale and whatever. So I was in the attic with a couple of other dealers, and then one guy opened up a panel in the wall. Out came all these Japanese swords from World War II that the guy had shipped back, and plus a bucket of jewels. The guy's son who owned the house was like, "Oh my God, that's my mother's jewels! Oh my God!" Right? This dude who died also was avid Civil War, World War War, all the war he collected, right? And coin collection. They didn't find that one coin. And then apparently he buried it on his property as a 5-acre lot. And the people who live there now have no clue that there could be literally millions of dollars buried in their backyard. They would never know. And we're not saying anything because we're waiting for them to go so we could buy a house.
I found it. The 85 years old Michael with the metal detector. I found it.
Yeah, that's it. But people do bury stuff. People do that.
Yeah.
And then, and especially, but in attics, the easiest spots, the ones that can just pull a board and boom, put something in there. Yeah. And as a book dealer, I used to find lots of books with cash, a lot of cash. I'd buy whole boxes of them, and you go them through and people put cash in there. They put large bills in there too because they're putting it away. But then they die and their family's just like, oh, look at this crappy old book. They don't want it. You know what I mean? So
that's why before you throw out any old crappy book, you grab it by the spine and you go, if there's any loose bills in there, it'll fall out usually.
Absolutely. One time I found one that was hollowed out for a gun. I didn't find the gun, but it was hollowed out.
Cool.
Yeah, it's interesting stuff.
That's kind of a pain in the ass to do because I saw the way that it's done. You take the book and you go to take a couple of pages of it and draw the gun and you start cutting and then you put the next page and then you have to glue them after you get so many down. It's an intricate pain in the ass to make one of those.
They sell them now ready made.
Yeah,
but it's a pain in the butt if you got to, cut out every page and put them all together, glue them together. That's a huge pain in the butt. I'd rather put like the gun in the guitar case or the violin case. That's a classic mob.
Yeah.
Remember they used to carry around?
It's always a Tommy gun that comes out.
Yep, they used to carry around a violin.
Tommy guns in violin cases.
They're or if they got a cello.
I think it's a cello case. I mean, I had a violin. They're only the case is literally that big. You're not fitting a Tommy gun with a big 50-round drum magazine in it.
I have an old acoustic case guitar case that I keep a gun in. It's perfect size for it, and it has got plenty of room. It's got, for your cleaning kit and whatever. And then nobody would ever, it's a beaten up old case. Nobody would ever think that there's some kind of gun in there. It's kind of funny. Now they would, because I said it, but now I'm going to move it to my old vacuum cleaner. I'm going to put it next to that.
Well, they have these all kinds of neat devices, but it's not what we should be talking about. But they have like pictures you can buy that you can open up, and then it's a secret stash for guns and weapons, and then also like fake air vents. You have to cut into the wall and make a space for the box, but it looks like an air vent. No, who looks in an air vent for a gun? Nobody.
I had this old station wagon, man, a Chevy Malibu station wagon, right? And it wasn't like the big clunky one. It was like the newer type of versions, but it had a 6-cylinder, got the most amazing gas mileage. My friend Chris and I were able to cruise tri-state, and then I helped friends move stuff. I had plenty of storage, but what it also had was really cool is the passenger side air vent. If you just pull it, the whole thing would come out. And then it was like the perfect stash spot. So my friend Chris and I are in Jersey, in the Inglewood Cliffs, cruising through. He's driving. He has no license on him. I have a suspended license. So I'm in the passenger side. The car below was my mom's name. We were super young. In the car, I had a 30 millimeter round, like my friend's mom. Well, my mom's friend worked at Northrop, so he gave me a 30 millimeter round. It was a dummy round. It was hollowed out, But I had that in there, and I had a flare gun and a couple of other things. So we get pulled over by Inglewood Cliffs cops. Chris has no license. I have a suspended license. This cop starts doing the dance. In that air vent, we had just went to Queens and bought a bunch of weed. So I had weed, a couple butterfly knives, and a switchblade in that air vent, And then the cops take my friend to the police station. They leave me in the back of the police car, waiting, and I'm watching the cop go through my station wagon. Like, I'm watching him rifle through, and I'm like, oh fuck, man! If he finds that weed and butterfly knife and switchblade, I was screwed, man. Screwed, So I was just kind of just sitting there watching the oblivion happen. He didn't see it, didn't find it, whatever, man. And they found the flare gun, dude. They tried saying it was a handgun. They tried charging me for a handgun charge.
It's a 25 caliber handgun.
But
they tried charging me for a handgun.
We're way off subject here.
Getting back on subject.
I had a boat. So, but they tried charging me for a handgun. They said my tools were burglar tools. And they were just trying to mess with us every which way, So, but our moms had to come bail us out in the morning. That sucked ass, man. And we had to sit there. And the same jail cell, they found my other friend, Mike, from the same town. They nailed him in his van. They were going up to Harriman, to go camping. He had his Uzi with him with 900 rounds of ammo. So they caught him, his Uzi, because the cop is like, this guy, so Mike so-and-so. Like, yeah, we caught him and his friends with a Uzi. Eventually, they threw the whole thing out because they found that it was illegal for them to have arrested us for a flare gun. You know what I mean? And charge us as a handgun. But whatever, man.
Anyway,
it sucked.
We only got X amount of time left, so we get back on topic.
They tried probing me, man.
Yeah, we're a little bit past break, so maybe we ought to do a break.
Nah, no breaks. We'll skip the break.
All right.
Yeah, since we only got 45 minutes.
45 minutes.
And this was a lot of years ago, in case any people out there trying to statute of limitations. And weed is legal now. Thank you.
In most places.
Where
did we stop off, Joe?
Actually, we were just getting to December 29th, 1980.
There was a UFO thing I wanted to talk to you about. I got to look for the story, man.
Yeah, look for it.
The Cash Landrum incident. Yeah.
So, this was another weird one. So the witnesses claimed that not only did they see this thing, but it damaged their health, it damaged their vehicle, it damaged the highway.
Yeah, it seemed to be damaged in their description because as it came down, it was leaving. It had a trail of flame underneath of it.
Yeah, I mean, it clearly says a close encounter of the second kind due to reported physical effects on the witnesses and their automobile. I mean, I remember melting tires and
People
stuff.
surrounded. Well, the damaged highway was taken away immediately and replaced within a day or two.
You know, it's funny. Recently, they had a truck overturned getting on interstate. Man, within 2 hours, they had the old highway up and a new piece down. And they wanted to make sure that stuff. I don't know what was in that truck, but they wanted to make sure it wasn't getting on anybody. Yeah, I mean, when you go on, I mean, they lived for a while, but there seemed to have been.
They did have several radiation cancer type
So
illnesses for the ladies, and the boy had several health issues. I think he may
yeah,
still be alive.
yeah. So Betty was 51 when it happened. Vicky was 57, and the boy, I believe, was 7. Yeah, Colby was
7,
7.
8, young, under 10.
Yeah. So, and they were an Oldsmobile Cutlass. Man, that car should have been plenty fast enough to get out from underneath that damn UFO. They you know, had 440, 442, 454. I mean,
So what do you guys think of this, man? China in total panic. Space Force races to finish first ever space aircraft carrier set to dominate Earth's orbit.
What is it going to carry?
Ships.
We don't
China
have any.
China ain't got nothing that can get on there.
No.
This is it. All right, wait.
You're caving over the.
I bet it looks like a cigar.
Here we go. Gravitix is developing an innovative orbital aircraft carrier for the U.S. Space Force to enhance satellite deployment. The carrier offers protection for satellites against the harsh space environment, yada, yada, yada. This project reflects U.S. strategy, strength is military arms race. But they're going to have also ships that can kind of just shoot off of there and shoot back
they would
from
have to
there.
have like fighters and rescue, all kinds of stuff.
At the same time, let me get that other story. You're gonna love this one, man. Because Trump is busy, man. He's busy. He's busy coming up with stuff. You know what I mean? Can you see this?
What?
Yeah, look at that. To launch a satellite straight out of James Bond, be capable of beaming solar energy anywhere. How's that? Beam of solar energy. You could destroy cities with something like that. That is Tesla technology of plasmoid weapons.
Tesla's death ray in space.
That's right. That's exactly what
it might be. Drax's death ray in space.
Well, it depends on whether it says made by Musk or made by whoever.
I don't know. Trump is the one whose uncle had Tesla stuff, man.
Yeah.
You don't think Trump is dipping into those files?
I'll bet
he might. But he's also got
some Trump technology in there. Yeah.
His uncle
he's
John.
also got Elon Musk. So
Trump knows something that people don't know. He knows something.
John Trump, his uncle that got the Tesla technology, he was in charge of the 80 bags. 80 he had 80 cases or 80 storage boxes of like material, patented material, unpatented material, and only 60 were returned. So whatever happened to those other 20, John Trump made his fortune with it.
And there's no weapon treaties now. So it's like a free-for-all. I mean, something like this could destroy a whole city without radiation, without anything like that. I mean, it could take out ships, planes, whatever. I mean, anything. It would dominate. That's it.
Well, until people came up with deflectors, and then it would do nothing. But
like a mirror.
All technologies have their downfall somewhere down the future lines. That's just how it works. It's you build one to kill, and then so far no one's figured out how to make a nuke. But sooner or later they'll get around to it. Actually, there are things going on right now to be able to clean up radiation with just what do they call it? He called the oh shit. It's like when you drop whatchamacallit in the water and it fizzes.
Alka-Seltzer.
Yeah, like an Alka-Seltzer. He said it's like that. You just drop it in the pool of radiation, and wherever it's at, you spray it on, and it just fizzes up, and it disposes of it right then and there. It basically eats it.
Well, there's also like a certain solution they bathe you in if you've been exposed. Like they show it in the Indiana Jones movie when he's at Area 51. They scrub him with this weird solutions. to get the radiation off of them, and they keep that Geiger counting him until it goes away.
But when you leave Area 51, you have to take a, well, let's just say you have to be, we'll just say it politely, say desanitized. How's that? It doesn't matter where you work or what outfit you wear, because most everything down there, they're wearing clean suits. They still want you clean before you leave. I guess because you're flying on an airplane you get on a Janet airplane to, well,
Yep.
places like O'Hara or Vegas. And you know what?
No, I think the plane only goes to Vegas and back.
That's what I thought too. I thought it only went to Vegas, but they had Janet flights out of 3 other airports. So I'm thinking every now and then they must go pick up people and bring them down for whatever reasons.
Perhaps, yeah. But the main people that go to work.
They've also been seen on military bases as well too, which doesn't really shock me. But it's probably where they're maintained at, is on a military base.
Does anybody know who owns the Janet flights?
Yeah, Area 51. So I guess
it has to be the government.
Yeah, CIA and the government don't own Area 51.
The CIA does.
Technically, it's owned by you and me. So we should be able to go in anytime we want to and say, "Hey, look, we own the effing place. Let us in here." As they shoot both of us dead. But
here we go. Here's your good friend Wikipedia. Janet Airline are the unofficial names of a highly classified fleet of passenger aircraft operated for the United States Department of the Air Force as an employee to transport military, Department of Defense civilians, and contractor employees to special access program facilities, Area 51, tone up a test range, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Harry Reid International is where they mainly come out of.
It's the Val Johnson incident. What was this one?
That's a police officer. Was it in the?
Yeah, that's what it says. Was on duty and driving close to North Dakota.
Where is it? Val Johnson. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah. It's
1979. I was going to say 97.
1979. Yeah, no, it's way back there. Council Bluff. That was 1977. Yeah, this is a little longer list than the other one we got. Snowflake, Arizona. Come on, y'all should know what Snowflake is. It's one of the most famous cases ever. Shit, they made a movie about it.
Is that Travis Walton?
Travis Walton. Fire in the sky.
That's a UFO abduction and sighting case.
But according to him, it was just a UFO thing.
Well,
I'm like, how can you say that? They picked you up and put you back. That's an abduction.
He was gone for 5 days. The entire state was looking for him.
I was like, he freaked out so bad that night when I told him, you didn't think they knew you were coming, dude? I'm like, come on. I said, they probably knew what you're coming and what you had for lunch. I said, and plus you're coming down the side of a mountain in the middle of the night, an old
bouncing around in a pickup
truck. Yeah, lights up in the sky, noise everywhere. I said, dude, they knew you were coming without your.
They probably knew he was the first person sitting in the passenger seat at the door.
Oh, they were waiting for him. There were no doubt about that. They were definitely waiting for him. Nah, good baby. It's so it's funny that Travis Walton, he doesn't like to talk about things like, oh, you probably were taken more than once, because there's no such thing as a one-time abductee.
Usually,
and I don't think there's any usually to it. I think you're either in the group or you're not.
I've never heard of anyone taken just one time.
There's lots of cases that present themselves like Travis Walton, but when you get into the case itself,
well, I mean, even Whitley Strieber, he recently was in an interview. I just saw. I don't know how old the interview was, but he said, quite frankly, he's like, when I wrote Communion, I thought it was a one-time that sole event, and then he's like, I come to find out it hasn't been, and that has been going on throughout his life, past, present, and future. And he's like, it is what it is. There's nothing I can do about it.
Yeah, he got a little strange as he got older.
He still is. Nice guy, but still, he's gone a little.
What's that, Kelly? I haven't interviewed Whitley in 20 years. I interviewed him when the movie was out, and then I interviewed him about something else later on. I actually used to talk with his wife. You know, she was on one of my friends' lists. We used to just chit chat once in a while. And but well, I didn't have anything against Whitley. I just noticed that. How can I say this nicely?
He got
Yeah.
weird.
Well, no, it's more than that though.
For a UFO guy to say a UFO guy got strange. He got strange.
He got the Billy Meyer syndrome.
Oh, yeah.
I think he started missing the limelight.
Yeah.
You know, let's not forget in the beginning he had what? He had the Wolfen books out before he had the UFO book out, which were very successful books.
Yeah.
And there were movies made out of those. And then of course here comes along Communion. And bam.
And yeah, Christopher Walken, and I thought it was horrible, to be honest with you.
It wasn't the best movie I'd ever seen, but you know, it was what it was. And then there are things in these movies they have to make because they don't understand, so they just put some weird scene there because they really just don't understand what happened to them or what the event was or how to put it on that event onto a camera and make it realistic.
The director puts in his own little spin.
Yes, well, we know with Travis Walton, the last half of the movie was all Hollywood, had nothing to do with Travis, and so him and I talked about it a couple of times. But it's like with Orson Scott Card and Ender's Game, he worst movie ever made.
Really?
He hates it, and Jeffrey, there's an interview I did with him not this year, last year. Was he last year before? It is available on this network. Just type in Arthur's Quill and Orson Scott Card. Or just type in Orson Scott Card and it'll come up. Actually, him and I have got to know each other pretty well over the last 3 years. He's an interesting character, to say the least. But he has no problem speaking his mind. And I told him one night, he said something to me. I said, "Oh, that's probably aliens." He said, "Yeah, they're all over Utah."
He's not wrong.
No, he's probably not wrong either. They're probably all over Utah. Well, guys, Utah's right there down the road, about an hour away from Area 51. So, Carly Reinhardt, really? Is that the name we're going to use? What do you got for us? Oh no, we still got other cases we're going. We got a lot of them actually. We were only going to do like 20, but I got on a stupid wiki list, which is different than the list Jay and I were usually using.
Yeah, the one I have has some of the same ones, but not as many.
Yeah, we're just going backwards through. We're traveling backwards in time, is what we're doing.
And what year? We're in the 80s still? Or are we back?
No, we're in the 70s. We're in the 70s. We're in. Let's see. We're actually so Snowflake was 75.
So there's this one I don't know about, the Emilson abduction. Abduction was supposedly an alien abduction of farmer Jan Wolski in May.
Oh, I did remember that. I do remember hearing that vaguely for some reason. I haven't really heard that much about it, or I have, and I've just forgotten. I hate to say that, but
it's a Polish story. So in 1978, Poland, in Emilson, Poland, is the site where the abduction took place. I'm not familiar with that.
Yeah, we'll spank your little butt. Not you, sorry, Jay. Yeah, one of them came in and gave one of mine came in and gave my floor an extra sweet kind of look. Let's see, North Bergen, New Jersey, Stonehenge incident. Stonehenge. Okay, let's see, North Hudson Park near Stonehenge apartment building. Oh man, Village Voice. We are the aliens. Get out. This is our village. Get out. Get out. Let's see. North Hudson Park UFO sighting occurred January 12th, 1975. George O'Brisky. While driving, he heard a static over his radio and saw a North Hudson Park and dark spacecraft with brightly lit windows hovering around 10 small hooded individuals.
Now, when they have windows, that sort of tends to tell me that it's not alien. It's more ours. What year is that?
Unless it's 75.
It's one of ours. It's got windows on it.
More than likely, if it is, it's well, Johnny, usually deep spacecraft don't have. Maybe it's it could be a great tourist craft as far as I know.
Maybe, yeah.
But I mean,
but the way I understand it, the sport model that Bob Lazar rolled out, it has, when it's when it's off, it has a metallic appearance to it. Feels like metal, looks like metal. But when you're on the inside and on the outside, there are panels in like an arc all the way around the top half of the circle or saucer. And inside, if you have control of it, you can turn those panels clear, either all of them or one of them, and you can see through it both ways, or you can do it as a one way, so they can see out and you can't see in, and vice versa. So you can see in, they can't see out. It's kind of like the contact lenses that were allegedly taken off of the alien autopsies' eyes that were not just contact lenses, but they were heads-up computer displays. So alien craft doesn't necessarily always have windows because they can make the skin of their craft a window anywhere they want.
You would think, or you would
Yeah,
think
well, I know
maybe
I'm pretty sure that they can.
some kind of living thing almost. I mean, biological. Who knows what they base their technology in?
Right. Yeah. I mean, the sport craft that Bob Lazar talks about in his interviews with George, what's his name, George Knapp. He describes it as being able to, as having that capability, that capacity. It was a nuts and bolts machine, seemed to be made out of one piece of metal, but it was metal. It wasn't a biologically grown spacecraft being like what the Greys use.
If they have nanobots, that's something. They got robots on that level. They can recreate whatever. It can fix itself, and I mean, the sky's the limit if you have nanobots.
The
really,
ship is autonomous in that way that it repairs itself. But I mean, it's possible. I mean, you can't deny the idea or the ability of it. I mean,
nanobots work at a molecular level. They
right,
can,
yeah, that's what I'm saying. We don't know. They could have that.
They can make lead into gold. Apparently, I mean, that's the theory. Water into wine, that type of thing. I mean, nanobots work with what they got to work with. Imagine a technology that could, if you lost your arm, it could grow you a new arm. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, you're making a perfectly valid point. Joe and I are at odds with the whole UFO incident in 1947 in Roswell. Joe is of the opinion, and I agree with him, that their technology should be of the fact that their ships aren't that easily damaged, but I still think they can be damaged. So something went down.
Sorry, guys.
Wow fight.
Sorry, there. Somebody went to go kill somebody.
The crash. Something crashed and left debris in 3 places in and around Roswell, New Mexico. 3 crash sites. Well, actually, 3 crash sites and 1 debris field. So 4 places where debris was left. But allegedly, the craft that Bob Lazar saw was the craft that crashed in Roswell. It was found stuck in the Arroyo, and he said it appeared to have had no damage on it. So if it crashed and bounced off the ground and left debris, maybe it did, like Mike said, with the nanotechnology, repaired itself.
Pod. The Greys knew their ass was in trouble because they found the Greys there. The Greys were at Mac Brazo's ranch.
It was also, literally, when the ship was found, it had a gash in it with an alien half dead trying to get out of it, and 2 aliens sitting on the ground.
The kids who actually found the craft, and the Cub Scouts and the father describe it like this. I'll give it to you word for word. They walked off on this craft. It was embedded in the side of a mountain, just into the rock, straight in. There was a door that was open on the very top of it. It was just a hatch that was open. Everything else was intact. There was no debris, no leaking, no smoking, no nothing. There were 4 bodies on the ground and 1 body hanging out of the craft. But they described them as human looking, not as gray looking. They said they were, but you could tell that they had been exposed to some type of radiation or something because the bodies were almost glowing, almost melting is how they actually described it. He said he remembered shielding the kids from it because they almost looked like they were melting in place. Right. But any ship that's going to cross it, any through wormholes or faster than light travel, will have to be able to take an impact of a micrometeorite without being destroyed. And there's no difference between that and to slamming in to a side of a mountain. It should not do any damage outside. Now, let me explain what I'm saying. Inside, on the inside, it's probably going to do well. Even if it did, it's still the original craft will still be designed. That I can guarantee it'll be made one piece.
Yeah.
At one piece, it'll
Or seemingly like one piece, which is exactly like the sport
yes,
model.
well, or actually where the pieces actually melt together and become one piece. But regardless, it'll be one piece when it's done. There'll be no connection points, no rivets, no nothing for it to break apart from. But when people always mistake me when I say this, I don't think the outside will take any damage. I think really and truly a big enough craft would just fly right through our planet and destroy it. I think inside, once the inertial dampeners go, everything inside will become, well,
goo.
Yes, pretty much. So I think that's one of the reasons the Grays don't have that kind of technology. That if they do slam into something, it's not going to happen that way. For them, it's going to be a whole different kind of goo. But but I don't, because when Dee got the information about the aliens found at Roswell from the nurse, they were pretty much under the influence that it was some type of escape pod. Some people said they thought it was a shuttlecraft that got in the way of the damn spacecraft
Or
and ran
perhaps
into
another
it.
UFO type craft as a chase vehicle that crashed and left debris that wasn't made of the same type of material.
Whatever it wasn't something that was made. It was for something like what we use, like the shuttle, made to go in and out of space.
But you say that there are bodies found in that debris as well, and I've been researching it for the longest time, and I've never heard anyone describe bodies on the Proctor Ranch.
The original.
So what if there were two? What if there was like a training mission, and you got Sands missile base, Sands range. I mean, practically the whole state of New Mexico.
Allegedly,
Some
there
kind
are
of
3 craft
airport
recovered at this incident, according to Stanton
I
Friedman.
heard that the bodies got shuffled off to back east, like Ohio or something.
To Wright Pat, yeah, it's not Wright Patterson, yeah, allegedly that too. But what happened was that the UFO flap was over the 3 bases: Alamogordo, White Sands, and Sandia Laboratories, and the reason why was because we were working with nuclear devices there and a new type of targeting radar.
As a private investigator, I can tell you this, man. If you don't have the direct evidence, you can look at the actions around the evidence to judge how serious or not serious it is. You have a lot of government agencies coming together telling people to shut up, moving things around, doing abnormal activities. So obviously it was something they wanted to hide from the public eye. They didn't want anybody to know about it. Whatever happened, they didn't want anyone to know a thing about what happened.
Well, in the beginning, they
go
did.
To great limits to cover that up. So it must have been pretty big and devastating at that time for that to happen.
When the original report came out, the military reported it as a downed UFO. That's how they reported it. Mm-hmm. And then later on, they tried to say it was a weather balloon. And when I'm talking later on, we're talking a good bit later on. So it wasn't like they just changed their mind overnight. They took a while before they decided to say, because it was getting too much attention.
But yet the local people, the medical people, all testified about the alien, seeing alien bodies and that type.
Well, because Quinn Dennis, the local crematory grave guy, cemetery dude, he owned a cemetery. They called him in desperate need, the Roswell Emory Air Force Base, of at least 6 baby or child-sized coffins, and he said he didn't have any on hand, but he could get them in a day or two. And then he went out to the base thinking, there must have been some sort of horrible crash. And then when he got there, all the activity around what was going on, he allegedly was told by one of the nurses that there was some stuff going on, and she told him later about the aliens. But that's third-hand knowledge. It's really only hearsay from the.
Well, look at the good side. You took a crappy town in New Mexico and made it famous, and now they have like a whole bunch of money flowing in there. It's not like anybody's gonna find or see anything. You know what I mean? Because whatever happened there happened there, and that's it. Nothing happens.
Well, nobody. The problem is no one knows. Even on Mac Brazel's ranch, no one knows exactly where. There have been people going out there for 4 or 5 decades and have never found anything.
This is my theory. A UFO crashed, and Joe Montaldo came out and then said, "I am here to the Earth to destroy you." And then here we are. So, what have you done today to destroy the Earth, Joe?
No, I mean Joe's absolutely right. After the incident, Mac Brazel never ever spoke about it again.
Yeah.
He walked away from the police station and the military base with a brand new loaded Ford pickup truck.
He was, once they decided that it wasn't going to be made public, whatever reason they decided it wasn't going to be made public, it wasn't going to be made public. And then a lot of people still swear that those were crash dummies inside that thing that got crashed.
Crash dummies that landed in 1958, impossible. 10 years.
Crash dummies that look like aliens, which is why would you want?
No, they don't even look like aliens. They look like humans that have been burnt because they got fire. They got burnt from the fire from the jetpacks on the ejection seats.
Or was it people reversing what Joe's theory was? I remember what you said a long time ago is what they got from the Nazis, that they recovered a UFO and then reverse engineered it and then didn't know what they were doing and then bang. Because I've heard other reports about a similar type of ship that even a sheriff's deputy corroborated. He was taking a leak and he said this ship showed up out of nowhere. It was glowing blue. 2 people got out, collected some samples like rocks off the ground, got back in and took off. Meanwhile, the colonel in charge of that mission testified that he was one of the pilots, and then their mission was to zip out in the middle of the desert, collect some rock samples just to prove that they were there, and then zip back. So here you have on both ends the colonel, who was the pilot, and the cop who was there taking the leak, who was a witness to this. So obviously they've got technology that they've been working on more and more and more and more, and it's growing. And then as we get smarter, as our computers get better, faster and all that, we can decipher more info. Yeah.
We've been waiting to see is what we're going to do.
I do remember though. Any race out there capable of intergalactic travel is going to have stuff that we can't even dream about.
You can't even imagine. Yeah.
But see, when people always crack me up when they talk about Roswell, so they make assumptions like, okay, the Greys are a relatively new technology. No, the Greys are 500 million or maybe even 1 billion years old. I doubt they have anything that you can break up. I would imagine by now everything they build is probably pretty much kill proof. I know they're the ones who do the policing for the galactic community, so I would imagine their ships are really excruciating.
They have been at war, allegedly, according to their stories.
Not in a long time they haven't been. Who rules the planet?
Right,
not the reptilians, not the humans. The Greys do.
Yeah.
So it tells you who the pecking order is right there.
The women rule the planet.
No, they wish. That also shows that the Greys and the reptilians and the humans are scared of the Greys. See, when I got in this field, I was always told, oh, they worked for the humans and the reptilians. And come to find out later on, no, they do not. Yeah. They're actually scared of the freaking Greys. So that changes the whole perspective of things when you start to think about technologies and stuff. Their technology is far beyond anything we can even think of. It's not even in our sci-fi yet. That's how far advanced they are over us. And even for the reptilians and humans, the closest thing you would probably find to them is those 50s movies where nothing was ever connected inside the craft with any type of wiring, because they don't use wiring either. They do inside the box, but not outside. There's no connection. There's nothing to carry power around. So it's all built in through the ship. So I would imagine, and even that gives you even more reason why a ship would build not so it couldn't collapse, because if the power was flowing through the ship itself, it would act like a giant freaking bomb. So I imagine there's a lot of reasons. And then, of course, there is shielding. If they are running shielding like the Enterprise would run. So the Enterprise itself, without its shielding, would probably dig itself into our planet 2 miles deep before it actually did any damage to itself. And then if it had shields on when it did it, would probably just split us in half. Which is
the shields would eventually fade, and then the ship would explode.
Maybe they might fade. This is a small planet. That's a big ship, man. Traveling at lights.
The original Enterprise only holds 400 people.
Oh, I was talking about
big, but
we know
we
know Picard's Enterprise could survive a crash because
Picard's Enterprise is 1,000.
We also know that little crappy Enterprise type one survived a crash in the last movie. What was that stupid last one? Beyond whatever it was. The version of Scott Bakula's ship crashed there, and it survived. I would imagine whatever material they're made out of is going to be hard to crack up or dent or anything. Maybe you can melt it, but I don't know. That's not going to happen on an impact. And I would think in most cases you would see just what was described at Roswell, a hit and a skip. I think it would just, because if it didn't break up the nose or whatever, it just didn't break up on impact, especially if it was circular, it would just hit and act like a disc and start skimming away. But you know what, though? Even for the one where they found the other one, there wasn't any real skid marks anywhere. Mac Bradshaw Ranch is the only place where anything seemed to have slid. And I don't know why.
Here we go. Just a little
Yeah.
comparison for everybody.
Man, I need some food. Oh, shit. I forgot I was doing stuff. I was talking to y'all.
Oh, it's
Look
up
at
there.
him.
Cool. All right, so this is the. I'll have to blow it up a little, I guess. This is the Enterprise TV show.
Yeah, and that's the one that crashed in Star Trek Beyond and survived.
Yeah. This has about 103 people as a crew.
And this one, that next one, is 400 to 500.
This is the Enterprise original series. It has a crew of up to 400, 405 is usually what's recommended. This is Enterprise A, the reconstruction. They just built over top of the old body with the new body. So it can now hold, I think, 500 people, maybe 6.
I don't know. They were pushing the first one a little bit higher, and I think they were pushing this one even higher than that.
Yeah.
But I know when we got to Picard's, we were up to 1,000.
So this is the Enterprise A Excelsior class, and I don't know how many people it holds. It's 305 meters long. This is the Enterprise C, which I'm upstairs building, the model kit. It's 511 meters, and then the Enterprise D, this is Picard's ship, is 642 meters. The original Enterprise was 288 meters, and then it was elongated to 305 meters. Then we got Picard's next ship, the last one, the E, 685 meters, and then what's his face? Alternate timeline, 725 meter long Enterprise original. Big ships.
Yeah.
They would probably destroy a planet if they crashed into it, I would think. Yeah.
Oh yeah, they probably would. Just their reactors alone would probably take them out. Those are the kind of things that, and eventually we'll build that kind of stuff. We'll have that kind of stuff in space, but not as a singular divided planet. We won't. Now, when Drax takes over, it'll be different. Drax will motivate everybody to become workers and do things, and we'll build an empire and go out into the galaxy and aggravate the Greys, reptilians, and humans. Jimmy Lee Brown, what's up, baby? Where you at tonight? Seattle, Washington. I hope you're safe up there in Seattle. No, I laugh because Seattle, I used to be one of my favorite cities. Now it's not. We'll just leave it at that. Who? Oh, you're talking about no. So in Star Trek Beyond, I forgot the captain's name that crashed. He had an Enterprise class craft, original series. I mean, not original series. Scott Bakula series. The series Enterprise. Yeah.
I don't remember what his class was called.
NXX.
NX.
Yeah,
it's experimental craft.
Yeah,
NX.
So that was what's his face, and then the next one's coming out where this guy got one of them. He crashed it on some world out there in the Briar Patch of all places, which we find out about in another Star Trek movie.
Deep Space Nine.
No. Well, we hear about it there too, but we find out about it in Insurrection. Yeah. And was it Insurrection? Was that the name of the movie?
So who is to say that structure, what NASA calls it, and other people out there in the universe that we can't reach, but we can see it, that mega structure, who is to say that that's not civilization after civilization building up, not planetary but space structures,
Well, they think it's a Dyson sphere. That's what they think it is. They think a Dyson sphere is a sphere that they build around the sun, and the inside of the sphere itself is all land, and the sun is in the center of it, and it supplies the light and the heat and all the energy, and the inside's capable of holding it like a solar system or two worth of planets. So you have all that land space inside of there.
But that's pretty massive to have something like that.
It's pretty massive, and I imagine it's going to take. Now, if there's like a galactic federation out there, which is supposed to be, then I imagine it's not that big of a deal. But for one planet, for one society to build something like that, that's one awesome society. That's all I can say. I mean, it would have to take several generations to complete. unless they have technology that's. See, we don't think about replicated technology and robot installation. So, with that kind of stuff, it could be done pretty quickly as well. I mean, as we go forward, more and more of our life is going to be go to the robots. They're going to be building everything and putting everything together, and we're just going to be inventing it. And eventually, we're not even going to be doing that. Jimmy, there are materials in the universe that are well. Look at a diamond. So if you took a diamond and you put it on a point and you send it at light speed, it would pierce our planet from all the way through. Nothing would. The only thing that maybe if it hit the core might stop it because it might actually revert it back. But other than that, there's nothing else. There's no rocks or anything else, and that's would stop
Yeah,
it.
we think the core is as a semi-solid metal, and it would probably be elastic like a rubber ball and absorb a lot of energy. Maybe even push the projectile back out, causing more damage. I don't know.
But if it don't go through the core and it goes on the sides, it's going to go all the way through the planet. And that's just a little stone we're talking about. That big traveling at light speed. Right. Think about something 100 times that size traveling at 10 or 15 times the speed of light. Yeah, there's nothing left of Earth. Even if the ship disintegrates, there's still nothing left of Earth. The sheer force of it will just destroy us. It's going to be part of the new future. I mean, today we live in a future like that now, and at present, I mean, there's 7,000 or 8,000 nuclear weapons roaming around on our planet. They could easily bring chaos in the end of the world. So I said, it's no different if we have big ships in space that could fly and kill us. We're gonna build these technologies. It's just we can't right now. Right now, look at China. China's building this huge underground underwater base. It's massive. It's like twice the size of the SSI.
I was just reading about that today.
Yeah, it's massive. So, and they've also got a space station now in space that they're adding to. We're getting ready to take ours down. So they're all over the place. And America's doing its own thing. Europe's doing its own
also,
thing.
They're building a dam that's so big, they're saying it's actually slowing the Earth's orbit.
It did by 0.01 millisecond.
Imagine that.
Huh? It actually slowed. It's the largest dam in the world. I think 3 rivers come in right there. 10 trillion gallons of water.
Well, didn't the Fukushima accident, didn't it push Japan 8 inches one direction or the other?
I don't know. I do remember hearing
it did.
That's the thing with all of this stuff. It's we're coming to the point now where we're on a small planet, and it's time for us to take some of this planet stuff off world. It's one thing if we crack Mars in half. Nobody lives there right now.
Right.
Or crack Venus in half or something.
That earthquake in Chile, they had to recalculate GPS because of that one.
Well, what Joe's saying is exactly one of my arguments with some of these, climate changers. If you go and start messing with the climate, with Mother Nature, and you mess it up, you can kill everybody. Don't do it here. If you want to try to figure out climate change and make climate more, even around the whole planet, 70 degrees all the way around, do it on Venus. Venus is it's 200 degrees during the day and 150 degrees at night. That's Fahrenheit. We would all die in 150 degree weather. So
it's right now. It's funny about Venus and Mars. If you could take the greenhouse gases from Venus and shift them to Mars, it would heat Mars up and thicken up the atmosphere. It would cool Venus off and also thin up the atmosphere. Both planets could become terraformed quite easily, but
What about this, Joe? Okay, so Velikovsky proposes that Venus isn't from here because it rotates opposite the other planets. What if Venus did come through the inner solar system, passed so close to Mars, it scooped the atmosphere off of Mars and sucked it onto itself, leaving a lightning gash in the planet, destroying whatever life was there, finally settling into its orbit as Planet 2.
Well, it's all possible. I mean, I'm sure Neptune and whatever's out there probably isn't from here. I'm not even sure if Pluto and Charon are from here. Shit, for that matter, they're talking about our solar system might not even be from the Milky Way galaxy.
Yeah.
So
I mean, look at the placement. We're between 2 spiral arms, the Sagittarian and the Orion Milky Way arms.
Yeah.
We're
Well,
away from everybody else. We don't, where all the other stars are. People are like, 1 light year, half a light year, 500
so
million,
the
miles away. They're
the the,
close.
the Milky Way
We're
is in
not.
the middle of eating the Sagittarius galaxy right now. Has been for a long, long time. But stars from that galaxy are being deposited into ours. Well, a lot of people think because we're in the middle of a bunch of red dwarfs that come from that galaxy that it's possible that we come from that galaxy. It's also one of the reasons the aliens could be wanting to visit us is because we're not from their galaxy. We're from a different galaxy, which since most races I doubt can travel in between galaxies, it's I imagine that's rare even for these advanced guys. Bet you the gray is good.
So let me ask you this: Did the the events of the Bible, our creation myths, did these happen outside of the Milky Way in a different galaxy?
It's possible. Well, think of it this way: the creation myths are there before the creation myths, meaning that the story of Adam and Eve you can find before the time of Christ. You can find it almost 3,000 years before that in several other religions. Not just that, you can also find Moses in the Great Flood and several other religions. So it doesn't look like those two events actually belong to the Christians. They just look like they
If you
usurped
look
them.
at just one ancient religion before Christianity, the Sumerian, their Anunnaki religion, there are three men. One of them is a king who are Noah. They're and their weird names. Sudra is the main one, and he's a king that is given there's a certain, I guess, celestial knowledge. There's a flood coming, and he's told to build an ark and take the. And I don't know the exact way they word it, but take the code. He doesn't take the animals; he takes the code, the genetic code somehow, blood maybe. I don't know how they did it.
I think the whole thing with CIA and Project Stargate talking about that ship from Mars, got me. If you read that transcript, it's very clear that that's where this civilization originated from. Is that those people there came here, and they probably couldn't live here. I mean,
Well, they must have come here for a reason, and there's several reasons. One, something destroyed the
they
planet.
said something cataclysmic happened to the
Yeah,
planet. They were
we have.
living in big bunkers at that point when that psychic reached back and was feeling this. They were living in these huge bunkers, like these huge buildings, to shield them from whatever was going on.
Yeah.
But I don't think it was like man made, whatever you want to call them. I think that it was cosmic, something had
No, we
happened.
know something hit on one side of Jupiter. I mean, on side of Mars, because Olympus Mons came in on the other side, tallest volcano, and then there's the freaking gouge on one side of it. Looked like something just. I mean, maybe it was water, but I didn't think there was that depth of water
Looks like
on Mars.
electrical. It looks like electrical damage.
But there's some type of. I mean, there's a canyon that makes a Grand Canyon look like a little baby
But
stuff.
in that report, it said that they were waiting for a response. They sent a ship to a planet that was close by. It was volcanic. It had a lot of stuff going on.
Thanks,
The
Heidi.
one, but they said the one thing it had was like water and vegetation, which Mars didn't have anymore. So they were looking to move to that planet and move on over. And I don't think they would move over. Obviously, they have underground facilities in Mars. I'm sure of it. That stuff we don't
Well,
know about,
we're also
obviously.
we're also not sure what caused the flood of the Bible and other religious myths.
But
So
the dude,
if Earth, one of the things that has been proposed is that the water that was once on Mars has been transferred to Earth. If that happened, I don't know how we could check it, but Velikovsky proposed that if there was a little bit of water on Earth or whatever, how much water Earth had, and then more water came from Mars and hit it, that could have been a cause for the flood.
but this dude was like there was like that face of Cydonia, and then
Yeah,
these three mountains that are close to it. The guy said those are pyramids. They're just covered in dust, but they're dirt dust, but they're pyramids. I mean, he was naming all this stuff. Here's a psychic. Here's an agent, right, giving you the psychic uh, coordinates in an envelope, and this guy, you saying, okay, this is what I see at this location. So they didn't even know where they were on Mars, but they were going right to it and saying what was going back. And at one point, when the agent was like, go back a million years, what do you see? That was incredible. And then he was in a room with another person, and he said the person knew that
He was
his
there.
yeah, he was present, which is crazy because that's a million years ago. How do you even accomplish that? But I think that it can be. I think through quantum tunneling,
Well,
almost anything can be accomplished.
True. But interesting. Also, about that same region, it's the Cydonia region. There's a 5-sided pyramid, a pentagon building in that same complex.
Let's say I have a quantum pencil, right? And I want to expand that pencil out into the universe. Doesn't matter how far, like light years. I don't even need
Amazon.
I don't even need a. No, I'm talking about a quantum pencil, right? It's going to go out into the universe. I'm going to be able to have one end of it in one hand and the other end in the other hand. Yet it's out there in the universe doing its business, like going as far and wide. I'm not there out in the universe, but I'm holding the pencil that is, So I think that you can take quantum tunneling and bow it out to the point where you can create those points in space. You want to go to Mars, you can take, if you have the right device, you can just bow it out and then that's the energy wave. And then it's almost like an elevator in a way, but it will be so it's kind of like a wormhole. It's something that you can kind of
White House,
open.
we can already do that. We can travel through time.
Open and close at will and travel. So you don't need a ship that can go warp speed, whatever. You just need something that can go through a hole and survive on the other side. And also survive atmospheres and things like that.
And passage through the hole.
But
allegedly, the U.S. government, or not the government, the White House has said that they have, that a type of time travel technology. So then they're able to go backwards and forwards.
Because when Nikola Tesla died, he told John Trump that he built a time machine. And then, then he died. And it was John Trump, Dr. John Trump, Trump's uncle, who got all of his files. And when he said that there was nothing important in there, nothing, when he just downplayed, come on, you talk about Nikola Tesla.
Then why were 80 cases given and 60 returned?
Right. Tesla with the death beam, Tesla with the time machine. There's no mathematical block to time travel. And Tesla was one of the most brilliant people. Even, I don't know, man, he died a horrible death, a lonely, crappy death living in a hotel in New York City. He invented tectonic weapons that, something that can make earthquakes and whatever, or tidal waves. I mean, this dude, who else does that? Name another creative scientist, right? I mean, even Einstein couldn't pull it together like that,
Yeah. Well, guys and girls, on that note, we got to get out of here. We're already 4 minutes after. We've got to let the evil one come up next. The Outer Realm with Michelle de Rochier should be coming on. I don't know if y'all have checked out the new show with the Navajo gentleman on it. I had the name in front of me a second ago. What did I do with it? Beneath the Hollow Moon. Oh, that's an interesting name. Anyway, y'all check it out. Yeah, y'all check it out. See what it is.
I did.
It's go take a listen. We're gonna get out of here now. Before we go, real quick, one of the things we'll be talking about on this Friday is Obama versus Trump. Obama said if Trump can run, he can run. So, and all I had to say with that is the reason Trump got elected last time was Obama. So
I guess that's true, man. So what do you think? What do you think, man?
That's going to be for Friday night. So y'all
Trump versus Obama. I don't know.
Yeah, y'all come listen. I don't think Trump's going to run, but y'all come listen on Friday night. It's no politics in here, but y'all come check us out. A couple of topics we'll be talking on. Besides that, some of the stuff that was said recently when it comes to peace and the Ukraine and things like that. So be sure to come check it out. I promise Mike and Jay will not curse. Yes, and Mike is not allowed music anymore. We got to crack down on music because we're now monetized on YouTube, so we got to be a little more careful.
I don't ever curse or lie.
Jay curses like a sailor.
You gotta be careful. My
people have to tune into Michael Langley Live on Saturday, man. Yeah. This week. I'm taking live phone calls. I'm gonna put a number up.
Sean cusses like a double sailor. It's you mean Laura Lee? She stops in. Laura Lee knows she's welcome anytime. We're looking for a female. We've got occasional females like Leo stop by sometimes. Laura Lee's starting to stop by. All the women on the network are welcome, but we're also looking for people outside the network. Stop on by, be brave. Mike only bites if you ask him.
I invite them and they're afraid to come on. They're like,
Jay's getting married, so we ain't got to worry about that because he's got that damn baby.
I'm talking about the people with the biggest mouths on Facebook. I invite you. You want to come on and say it? No, I can't do it.
Yeah.
You know, I'll post something live on Facebook.
Cowards.
I'll post something live on Facebook, just me talking about something. I'll get all kind of, derogatory stuff. So I'm like, look, here's the address. Come see us on Friday or Saturday night. No holds barred. You can say whatever you want. Just be prepared.
And
that's all
don't use too many F-bombs.
Yeah, that's right. And unless your name is mine, you can't do that. Anyway, we got to go, guys and girls. Be sure to check out the Outer Realm coming up in about 4 minutes. She should be going live, so go check her out. She's got a good guest on tonight, and we have another new show starting. I'm not sure if it's going to be Monday or Saturday. We'll be discussing that after Michelle's show tonight. So anyway, on that note, stay tuned for the Outer Realm, and we will see y'all Friday. And I promise we will be angelic-like. Good night, everybody.
Tune in to UFO Undercover, Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern, with your host, Joe Montaldo, right here on the Paranormal Radio Network.